I'm Maxim Thorne, the Managing Director of the Andrew Goodman Foundation. And I'm so thrilled that all of you are joining us this morning. We apologize that we had to change the Zoom ID, but that was for security reasons. Um, you've heard from Alex. A lot of our fight is personal. It really is. And I know that this week is captured right now by the trial of Derek Chauvin. And that is connected to the work that we're doing. The violence, because it really was violence, that Alex addressed, that was faced by Representative Park Cannon, is connected in the continuum of the violence that leads to the kind of hate of AAPI folks that we're seeing across the country. And part of the whole system that is terrorizing people, whether it's the insurrection and the attempted coup that Boy referenced, and whether it is the attacks that we're seeing in every state like Georgia, the monstrosity of a law that we haven't seen not in a generation, but in generations, the attempt to basically smother Black people, brown people, and young people's participation in our democracy. It's a sure way to kill our democracy because when you think about it, how does democracy reproduce itself? It is by making sure that its inheritors, young people, take ownership of protecting and enhancing and making democracy real and vital and a desire in people's hearts. When you are stifling participation by young people, which we're seeing, when you are preventing them from voting early or ending voting days, the voting hours at 5 before classes are finished or before people are stopping working, you are really preventing them from voting, and that changes their life pattern in voting. And when you hear from Stephanie, you also hear how exciting it is, though, in this cascading set of horribles that is frightening, particularly to Black people who have faced this for centuries, this exclusion, that in fact terrorism that prevents us from participating in this democracy. You also hear the potential to do a radical shift. It's a roller coaster where we have laws in Washington, like she talks about S1, right? And we have the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the possibility to actually have a quantum leap forward so that our democracy is there. But none of this is possible without some of the work that is so novel that Mo talked about. In this time of COVID, we need all these digital tools. Our skills, I remember, and some of you might remember, the first virtual Zoom meeting we had in March of 2020. But I think we've improved tremendously since then. But that also applies to our work. And none of this would have been possible without you, Because you guys are not only parts of our American democracy, you are activists yourself. And even as a donor, you are donor activists. The thing that I love about this work, and in my role, is people take this to heart. It is like part of our DNA, what democracy is and how you're fighting for democracy. And we want to do that. We want to do that with you. And I say this with a sense of urgency because for some people, they think this is an off year. This is so not an off year. Georgia, if I want to reference the murder trial, is the knee on the neck of our democracy. It is snuffing out the life of the future if you're blocking so many people, swaths of people, brown and Black people and young people from participating. And so I'm asking you to, this year of all years, seriously, to invest, double down. Alex said earlier, and it's a brilliant frame. If we did everything that we did that turned out young people in 2020 and the Georgia runoffs under the new laws in Georgia that is sweeping like a virus across the country, the result would be entirely different. Let's be clear. This is the year that they're changing the rules of the game, and without you investing in our work and works of others, our partners, we could never replicate what we did. It would be a downhill. It would not be a democracy anymore. This really is for the soul of our democracy. So yes, it's not an off year. There may not be federal elections this year, But this is so important. It is about the foundation of what young people's roles are and the inheritors of this democracy. If they can't inherit it, there will be no democracy. One other thing I'd like to say, because I think this is also a racial justice and equity issue. It is like it's a eugenics program for democracy. When you are disenfranchising all of our Black people and all of our brown people and all of our native folks, right? What's this? It's like, are we not part of the whole? Do we have this eugenics program where we're just wiping out people of color from participating? And is that a democracy that we want to have? I think that the reason you're here is that, no, it's not. So please, accept my thanks for all you have done, and accept my plea that this year, when people are distracted by lots of things, we can't keep the eyes off of what will save our democracy, which is the right to vote, and also the right to the future of our democracy. And with your help, we can do that. So here's what I'd like to do now. We've also now have this wonderful, vibrant group of young people who will be working with all of you in the future. Not just the program folks and communication staffs, but actually introduce all of our donor advisors right now. And I'm thrilled, right? So you have met some of them, but there's a couple new people that are who are gifts to us. So first, we have Elise Orlet. And Elise is the glue of our team. She is our administrator and is the one who is getting out all these responses to you and is day-to-day functioning. And next you see a newbie, who I call Miss Rhode Island, who's Jessica. And she will be working with our foundations, mostly, but other things. And then you see another one of our dream team. She named us that, by the way, I didn't, which is Nasheen. And Nasheen has been active, not only in the academy, but also within civic engagement for quite a long time. And she lives in Jersey, like me. And then we have the person who corrects me all the time because she hates when I reference that she's a Jersey girl, because she's not. She's from Philly, but about to move to New York. And then, of course, and Rachel deals with our individuals as does Nasheen. And then, of course, we have sort of the master of all trades, who is Shandy. And she is our senior with no portfolio. So everything is her portfolio. And all of us are here to work with you and encourage you and answer your questions, because we need all of you right now to participate. Thank you. And Alex and I will take your questions. We are so excited because I know that there must be burning questions that you have. And I know that I haven't been able to look at my chat room or my phone, but I hear it blowing up. So Alex, there is a question that were you successful? Were we successful in 2020?
Wow. Well, the answer is yes, and a resounding yes. We were extremely successful. Last year, we faced outrageous odds in the very beginning. So I started last year, March 16th. And when I arrived, there was a lot of question about whether we'd be able to be funded, if our donors would continue funding us. There was a question about whether schools would open at all. You remember last year with COVID, it was just a really confusing time for nonprofits, for schools, for students. And then as we were barreling toward the election, students were really trying to